Hey, Sens fans, welcome to Season 5, Episode 24 of the Senstennial Podcast. And this week, we are excited to welcome back once again Sens writer for The Athletic, Ian Mendes. And Ian, you'll be happy to know I dropped the senior in that because I know you don't like the senior title, so don't worry.
I'm happy to look. I'm 47 years old. There will be plenty of time for the senior label to be affixed to me. Maybe in 10 years from now, 57, maybe 60 for sure. I get it, but 40 feels a little early. I know I seem old to you guys, but it's a little early for me to get the senior label in there.
Maybe once you start getting those free Wednesday rides on the LRT and OC Transpo.
Is that what it is for seniors?
Yeah.
Is that the same day as you get double optimum points?
I was just thinking that
at Shoppers.
I don't know, but also
they can't do. You can't do it all on one day. You can't jam everything into Wednesdays, can you?
But
that's why Carlingwood Mall is always bumping at that specific date.
That is a mall walker's paradise.
Oh God,
yeah.
Hey, is it Rockin' Johnny's that's there? What's the
that's
Hazeldean, right? Or
no, that's
Hazeldean. Oh God, we're getting way off track.
It's further up Carling, but it's like
Anyway.
it's even worse.
That's not Lincoln Fields, is it?
No, it's the other way. It's like, oh man, I lived off of Carling. I know where it is, but
I know. You know what? It's in my mind, but I don't know.
Westgate.
Westgate.
There it is.
Westgate. Sorry,
that's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
There we go.
No,
actually, if you guys just want to do like random mall,
you want to do a mall episode, guys?
Yeah,
we're entering our mall era.
Everyone has to name as many stores as they can inside Billings Bridge.
Oh, you know what? Funny enough, my partner used to live near there, so I actually would know because her and I went and visited quite a bit. You know, there's like an independent McDonald's, Tim Hortons. There's a Dollar Tree.
I'm gonna say there's like Hakeem Optical in there.
Walmart, actually, I don't know.
Yes, Walmart's in there.
Yeah. LCBO.
Is there?
Yep. There's a Telus. I know, guys. Don't quiz me on this. I'm a Billings Bridge legend. There's a Booster Juice in there, guys.
Ooh.
I am firmly a West End denizen. I don't know that I've set foot inside Billings Bridge Mall in my entire life, and I've lived here for 30 years.
Look at the like as if he's like, I only go to Hazeldean. I only go to Hazeldean.
Can't wait for our TNT to come in.
Hazeldean
Mall. That's true.
I'm out in the East End, so I don't even know what Canada looks like anymore. It's like my high school days and university days. It's way behind me. I'm out in the boonies.
Yeah.
All right.
So hockey is a sport.
Yeah, hockey indeed. So Ian, I think you write or something about the Ottawa Senators. Okay, yeah. Okay,
I'm a senior writer.
Senior writer, yeah. Great. I'm glad we're on track here. So I'll let Bennett kick it off because I know you've been working the typing. You've got a lot of new articles out, so I'll let Bennett kick things off for us here.
Sure thing. And firstly, off the top, thank you, Ian, for being here. Always great to have you on. You're one of the good guys that Sens fans always look to hear your opinion on things. And one of the most interesting pieces you've published recently, just today is when I saw it, was an interview with Sens owner Michael Andlauer following the end of his first season at the helm of your Ottawa Senators. He spoke a lot about the learning experiences he's had in his first year here. I was curious, what insights did you gain from that interview, that discussion with Michael, and how would you personally rate his first season as owner of the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, and you know what? And I was appreciative of getting some time with him. And I kind of bugged him towards the end of the regular season. I said, at some point, I want to sit you down and I just want to talk about your first year as owner, or your first season, I guess, as owner. And he was open to the idea. And it was just about trying to find a date that worked for him. And it so happened that the day that they hired Travis Green, he said to me, let's do it today. And so after the press conference wrapped up, he said, let's grab a coffee. And so I was like, okay. I was like, wait a minute, are we going to Starbucks? Like I didn't know where we were going. And then he says to me, you know what? Let's go to the dressing room and have a coffee. So we went to the back of the players' lounge and had a coffee, and it was a really relaxed conversation. Like, that's the one thing. And I hope that these things come across. Like, it's hard when you're a writer and it's not a recorded podcast or a television interview, sometimes it's hard to try and relay the tone or relay, the feeling around a conversation. But it was a very relaxed conversation. I thought he was as forthcoming as he could be. Um, I think my big takeaway is, and you guys would know this, all three of you guys are really plugged into the way that the fan base thinks. And look, I understand why there's negativity or questioning around Travis Green. I get it. Like, I'm not here to question it. But I think when you start to add some things up, one of the things that I've noticed is that there are people saying they're starting to mock the term best in class, right? Like, we've seen that.
Ian,
And
did
so
you watch the last podcast? Because I brought that up a lot.
Yeah. No, and but I understand it. Like, where I really have a lot of patience for whether you're mad about Travis Green, best in class, or whatever, I am really mindful that this has been 7 years. Like, so for, you guys, this is what, a quarter of your lives? Like, more than a quarter of your lives, probably, right? Like, whatever. Like, look at you guys doing the math. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
7 divided by. Anyway, for me, you get to my age, it's almost a seventh of my life, I guess, right? I'm 47.
Right.
But 7 years is a long time. And you have to be really mindful of that. I think when you're in a spot like I am in the media, I think when you're part of the organization, don't dump on the fans. Don't get angry at the fans for being angry. Be thankful that they're passionate. And so that's one of the things I brought up with him was, look, like, some people are starting to say, like, best in class, it's the new unparalleled success, or it's the new, whatever. And, I thought he gave a really good answer, which was, guys, best in class isn't just, I'm going to open up my checkbook, I'm going to write a check, and that's best in class. Best in class, it's almost like, it's a philosophy about changing the culture at that place. And I don't know that you can change the culture overnight. And I also don't know that people quite understood the depths to which the culture wasn't great. And so it takes a long time. It takes more than 7 months, I think, to detonate bad habits and bad culture. And so for me, I really enjoyed the conversation with him. It was really relaxed. It was really, fair. It was a conversation. It wasn't an interview. It felt to me like a conversation between a reporter who is genuinely curious about the Ottawa Senators and where they're going, and an owner that seemed to be accountable and willing to have that conversation.
And he seemed to be giving you like an authentic experience too, with or not sorry, not an authentic experience, authentic answers. Like, he sounded
Yeah.
genuine, and I really liked his response when it came to the Ridley Gregg thing, because to me it was never about anything other than sending a message that, like, you're in Ottawa's barn, and I'm going to make sure that you Leafs fans know that you lost this game tonight. Sure, I know Leafs fans will chime in, oh, this is Ottawa's Stanley Cup, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I get why Ridley Gregg did it. And I think that it's great that Andlauer recognizes why, and he's in tune enough with hockey that he gets it. He gets the message that was being sent. So I liked that part of your piece where you interviewed him, and I liked his response. And I shared it with some folks on the Sens Discord server because, of course, that was, a controversial thing, and there was a lot of responses one way or another. But I thought it was some of his answers, like, it came across a way that I don't think Ottawa fans have seen from previous owners. And so I just liked it. It was like passionate. This is a guy who's grown up as a Habs fan, and here he is embracing Sens fandom. And he's like, yeah, I liked that it was like a dagger in the hearts of Leafs fans in the building that night. So I don't know. I like the passion that he's bringing. So look forward to hopefully him, over the next however many years he owns the team, continuing to bring that hard-headed, stubborn younger brother energy that us Sens fans have.
Yeah, and I think he nailed it, right, with the Ridley Gregg thing. Like, you want to know, like, it's one thing if the rest of the hockey world wants to dump on the Senators and Ridley Gregg, okay, have at it. But you need to know that the management and ownership has your back if you're Ridley Gregg. And that's got to feel really good when, and I know Ridley Gregg didn't have to open up the Athletic to see that the owner backed him. Michael told him that a long time ago, that, I think they made that very clear to him. We have your back. And that matters. And the way he characterized it to me is, he said, they announced Brady Tkachuk's name on the Jumbotron, starting lineup for Ottawa, number 7, Brady Tkachuk. Said the boos were so loud and he was really bothered by it, that to the point where about 90 seconds later was the anthem. And he said he was so mad. He's like, I can't get caught on hockey night. I can't get caught. My face on television. People are going to know something's up. And he's like, I got a bad poker face. So he kind of receded into the background. That's how much it bothered him. And I think it's a great talking point for Ottawa fans about that arena being filled with blue and white. And it's not just an Ottawa thing. I think it's really important. Like, the Philadelphia 76ers had a playoff game where the Knicks fans invaded their building. If you go to talk to fans of, different NFL teams, the Chargers can't get enough people at SoFi to watch their games. So this isn't just an Ottawa thing. Happens in a lot of places, but it does get a little tiresome. It does. And I don't want to blame, like, I see a lot of people say, well, the season ticket holders can't be reselling their tickets. I don't know that I want to blame the people that are buying season tickets. Like, but I don't know what the answer is. I think it's going to take some creativity. It's going to take something maybe outside the box to figure out how to recalibrate the crowd and make it a little closer to at least 50-50, if not more, in Ottawa's favor. But that was one of my big takeaways. Was I think he was really bothered by the fact that the Toronto fans take over the building in Ottawa and make it feel like it's a home game for them.
Yeah, and that's a totally fair point. Sorry, go ahead, Bennett.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Matt and I both are season ticket holders. You have the half season, I have the flex pack. And, I typically avoid the Toronto-Montreal games just because it's not worth the smoke. It's not fun to go to as a fan. All of the people there are loud and obnoxious. And, I'm a non-confrontational person. I don't want to deal with that. And so my preference is to watch those ones from home. And I think a lot of Sens fans probably feel the same way. And it's just, I don't know what the answer is either. I mean, in Europe, in footy, it's like they get one section and they can only sit in that section. And it's always, like no more than like 10-20% of the arena. But I don't know how to enforce that at the NHL level, if there's even any appetite for it. Because, in the dog days of our previous ownership, those used to be the only games we sold out. And, thankfully, that's not the case anymore. Sales, Sens attendance was pretty strong this year. But, it's hard to turn your nose up at paying customers, right? Whatever jersey they wear.
Exactly. And the one thing too, like, I see a lot of Leafs fans with that's the only way you guys can sell out your barn in Ottawa. Well, they had Ottawa had 21 sellouts, I think, this year. Basically half the game sold out. Yeah. And a huge bump in tickets up to averaging north of 17,000. And it's about trying to find that. How do you get, and if I had to guess, I'd say their season ticket number now, I'm going to guess it's around 8,000. Maybe it's a bit more. Maybe it's a bit less, but I feel like that's a safe estimate. Like, how do you get those 8,000 people to hang on to those tickets? So at least now you're starting out with about half the building as mostly your fans. And then you kind of go from there. But I don't blame fans. If you can turn around and sell your 2 tickets and pay for, 30% of your season tickets, 40%, who am I to criticize you? Like, you're spending money to support the team. As a media member who doesn't pay $1 to go to watch the games, how can I sit there and say, you know what you're doing is wrong? No, it's not, but you got to incentivize it. You got to come up with some things. But anyway, that was one of the big takeaways I had from that conversation with Andlauer.
Yeah, and it's a great point, and maybe more of like a side topic that might be better served for an episode if it happens again next season, which wouldn't expect the trend to break, but maybe something to talk then. But what we did want to talk about, we touched on earlier, was the fact that the Ottawa Senators recently did make their new head coaching decision. It got the Brady Tkachuk stamp of approval, who said it was he believed the best coach on the market. Now, maybe that was influenced by the fact that Quinn Hughes is one of his buddies and Quinn Hughes had him as a coach. And so maybe that factored into it. But regardless, he's their new head coach. Now, I know you did a lot of research on Travis Green. You talked with Tom Strantz, who covers the Vancouver Canucks. He's their beat writer for The Athletic. And you took a lot of takeaways from him. And I believe you wrote at least one, maybe 2 articles, or Thomas Strantz, I think, wrote an article.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you and Thomas, I think, each had one. But what were the primary takeaways from your research when you were looking into Travis Green as soon as the news came out?
Yeah, and I think like for a lot of Ottawa fans, it was surprising, right? Because if you go back to like the end of the regular season, go to the middle of April, Travis Green's name was not on the radar for anybody, not even in a long shot sort of way. You would hear, if you were going to hear about a long shot, you would hear about like John Gruden or, something like that. You weren't hearing Travis's name until I think it was May the 1st. And it was Frank Saravalli was the first one who got it, and said the Ottawa Senators have interviewed Travis Green. And then, you saw Elliot Friedman take that information and further it. Then you saw Darren Dreger take that information and advance the story. And, really for me, it was certainly a surprise. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, I knew this was coming, because if I knew it was coming, why wouldn't I have written about it like a month ago? Right. So it was surprising. And I think I found, like, when I wrote the article with Drance the night before it was made official, we knew it was pretty much a done deal, but we hedged it a little bit. And the amount of kind of toxicity that came back and negativity, people were really angry with, why are you defending the org? Oh, classic PR spin. You're defending the org. And it's like, well, hang on. There's a difference between defending and explaining. And I'm just trying to explain to you what they're doing. The time for me to be critical of this regime and Travis Green is probably at the 20 to 30 game mark of the season. Like, how can I sit here and tell you with any degree of certainty that he's going to be a good or a bad coach? I can't. So all I can do is present facts, and some of the facts are positive and some of the facts are negative. But I tried to lay out the facts and people are like losing their mind. And, I think it's really interesting. And one of the things I tried to paint a little bit is, you go back when Vancouver hired Rick Tocchet in January of 2023. And I linked to the articles, I linked to some of the things. The fans booed him in Vancouver, opening his first game at home at Rogers Arena. They booed him. They said, you can't win with this guy. This guy had a .475 career winning percentage as a coach in the National Hockey League. Can't win with him. What are you doing? You fast forward, 16 months, Rick Tocchet is likely going to be your Jack Adams Award winner for Coach of the Year. He's halfway to taking his team to a second-round win over a very good Edmonton team, and he's clearly got them all pulling on the same rope. I think that at the very least, you can use Rick Tocchet as a cautionary tale of, hey, just let the games play themselves out a little bit. But I also understand why Ottawa fans are like feeling disappointed, because I think you thought, well, maybe we'll get Craig Berube, maybe we'll get Todd McClellan, maybe we'll get a name brand big time coach, and it didn't happen. So again, I'm really mindful. I'm not going to sit here and say the fans have lost their mind. Like, I was shocked. I was shocked at the blowback, but I understand it, or I understood. And I think some people have come around a little bit. And for the people that haven't come around, I don't think anything I write or say or anybody says could change your mind. And that's totally fine. Like, that's, I hate when people tell other people how to be a fan. Like, we don't have enough fans in this market to start telling people, you be this, you be that. No,
Yeah.
we're not at that point yet. So, I understood it. I thought he came across pretty well in his press conference, but I also knew that there was a lot of people that didn't care what he said. They were just going to take a run at him, and that's fine. He played in Toronto. He's coached in Vancouver. Like, he knows. Like, Travis knows. He understands the market and what it's like to play in a Canadian market. So I don't think the criticism bothers him too much.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting thing is there was a lot of misconceptions that, well, New Jersey didn't want him. And what I thought was interesting is when he did his little bit on TSN 1200, he mentioned that when he got the interview with Ottawa, New Jersey hadn't actually even started their coaching interviews yet. They hadn't started that process. So when he got the call that Ottawa was interested, he said he talked with Steve and he fell in love with the position and he made his mind up. So it actually seems like when people are like, oh, well, it doesn't seem like New Jersey wanted him, it seems just that Ottawa made the call. He interviewed for the job and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to wait for the New Jersey Devils process to start. I like this Ottawa gig. I'm going to take it. And I think that also says something, I mean, for anyone who's watching this, you can watch the last episode. I was obviously very skeptical of it when it was first reported by Drager, but it's interesting, and it says a lot that he wants to coach in Canadian market versus a lower pressure place where New Jersey's only a year removed from the playoffs. Ottawa's 7 years removed. There is a lot of pressure on him to get this team to the playoffs. So I do think that says a lot about his character and his willingness to take on a job that has a lot of heat on the coach already before he's even started. So I just think that's something to take note of as well.
Yeah, and I think for Ottawa fans who are the detractors of Travis Green, I ask you this, like, fast forward 8 months, 10 months, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?
I said in the podcast, like, I did not love I didn't like the hiring at all.
Yeah.
And like, obviously we're going to look at track records, and one of my points was we were told best in class and we went for something that doesn't look like best in class, but at the end of the podcast said, like, I want to be dunked on so badly.
Right.
Like, I want him to turn around and be a Jack Adams winner. You spoke about Rick Tocchet. What's he doing? Getting the most out of his goaltending. That's all I need. That's literally all we need. Because if you get good goaltending with this team, we're suddenly in the playoffs. Like, that's it.
If he can turn Jonas Korpisalo into Thatcher Demko, he's not going to be up for the Jack Adams. He's going to be up for the Miracle Max Award.
Or at least just like Jonas 3 Pasalo as opposed to 4 Pasalo. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a big job ahead of him. Like the expectations are big. And as people can talk about the patience and you got to be patient, I feel like the first 20 games, like, Ottawa fans are really going to be on him. And that's to me, that's fair. Like, this, again, this is 7 years. This isn't 7 weeks, 7 months. This is 7 years of saying, I don't want to see the same movie. But I will say that, for the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, you've rolled in with a combination of Pierre Dorion and DJ Smith. And this is the first time you're going to go into a training camp and that's not the combination. But that's big. Like I think everybody wanted change at some point in the last 7-8 months. Everybody wanted change. You got it. Right? You got it. Now, it may not be in exactly the people you particularly wanted in those positions, but you got the change. And we'll see how it plays out. But he's to me a guy that, if you look at Tocchet, he didn't do well in the early part of his career. Peter DeBoer, if you only judged him out of his tenure with Florida, you'd say this guy's a loser. Like, he never got the Panthers to the playoffs. Pete DeBoer is one of the best coaches in the game right now. Bruce Cassidy's first go around in Washington was an implosion.
Yeah.
So Jim Montgomery got a second chance. Second chances are often where coaches make their mark. And the odd time you get the John Cooper and the Jared Bednars who come in, but they've inherited, good situations or good teams at the right moment and everything works. I'm willing to give them a chance, but I do think it's fair that after 10, 20 games that you want to make an assessment. I think it's more than fair for the fan. This fan base has been super patient. They've been super loyal through a lot of things that most fans don't have to put up with. And if you want to say, okay, at 20 games, let's see where we're at, I think that's fair.
And so, do you think Travis Green is the coach that's going to help the Sens take the next step?
Well, I'll say this. I think if you stripped away the name Travis Green and you only looked at the quotes from the opening press conference, okay? And you read a coach talking about 200-foot game and accountability and, all details, all these things, you'd be like, that's our guy.
That's Jacques Martin's music.
That's Craig Berube. That's Jacques Martin. And then you peel the sticker off, and sometimes when you do those, somebody will put up player A and player B, and it'll be like, would you rather have player A and player B? And then they
the big
you
reveal.
think it's two guys, and you peel off the stickers, and it's something. That's kind of what this is at. I think everything that he said was exactly what needs to be heard in this market. They need a little bit of a tough love guy. And, not a guy that's necessary. And I really like this about Travis Green. He said, look, I'm a hard coach. I'm a demanding coach, but I'm a reasonable guy. Like, my door is open. Come and talk to me. Guy almost played 1,000 games in the NHL. Like, he gets it. Steve Stales played 1,000 games. Like, those two guys combined played about 2,000 games in the NHL, like 1,900 something games. I think they know the dynamics of a locker room. I think they know how things work and what you can do. So I think he's the right guy at the right time to take this program to the next level. Now, can I sit here and tell you he's the guy they're going to be sipping from the Stanley Cup in 2027 with him? I don't know that, but I do see a path to them being a competitive, potentially a playoff team with him as their head coach if they do all the things that he's advocating for.
Yeah, we all hope that's the case, and we all hope that he can help this team hit another level. Now, another key decision, or among other key considerations the team's going to have going into this offseason, is the roster itself. And I think there's been a lot of chatter about who could stay, who could go, or who should go, what it's going to take to shake up this core and move things along. And I think a lot of that discussion is coalesced around two players. That's Thomas Chabot and Jacob Chychrun.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you're familiar with this debate by this point, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's likely that one of those guys does get traded? And if so, who do you think the Sens are ultimately going to decide to move?
Yeah, I think there's two questions there, really. I think one is, who would you move? But then the other question is, who's got more value on the trade market? And I think we kind of need to explore that as much as anything.
Yeah.
So I think if you're asking me who is going to fetch a bigger return, my gut says it's Chychrun based on, he's got less term. And so a little bit more flexibility there, a little, you know what I mean? Like with Chabot, you're trading for a contract that has, several more years left at $8 million. I don't have cap friendly open, but I'm pretty sure his real dollars paid in the next 2 seasons, like they're paying him $10 million in real cash. Cap hit is lower, but right. So other teams might look at that and say, man, that's a $10 million. We're paying $10 million, like $10 million, a lot of money. So whereas I think if you look at Chychrun, you say, okay, well, yeah, we'll bring him in for a test drive. And if he likes it, we extend him. And if we don't, we're not married to him. And whatever. So that feels like the more likely scenario. I think that, the one thing we determined is that, Jake Sanderson is the number one on this team, and there's just really no debate. Like, there really isn't. And the question is, how much can you pay, and what are the roles for the guys who are natural left shot? So take Sanderson out of the equation. Now you got Chabot. Now you got Chychrun. Now you got Brandstrom. There's a lot of people who tell you maybe Brandstrom's another guy that's on the move. Like, are we looking at a scenario where two of those guys get moved? I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting. The one name I really feel comes back to all of this, and I really need to dive in to see what the relationship was. But Chris Tanev played for Travis Green, and I really wonder. Not that Ottawa would hire a coach saying like that. Let's get him to try to lure Chris Tanev, because that doesn't seem like.
And we've heard that story before.
Yeah, but
Tom Pyatt.
But yeah, exactly, the Guy Boucher connection. But it does make you feel like, okay, well, maybe there's a tone and a culture that they want to set on the back end. And maybe Tanev's the guy they believe can do that. I do think that. I do think that that's what Staios and Poulin and company think. I think they think that profile of a defenseman could come in with a little bit of snarl, a little bit of like, I might eat some pucks, that type of thing, is what they need to complement the natural puck movers that they already have.
Now, we asked about Chabot Chychrun, but do you think there's a player on the roster besides those two guys, and it could be a core member or someone else, someone who has term, not a pending UFA or RFA, who you think is maybe has a greater likelihood of being moved this offseason?
Well, I think you have to look at the goaltending. You have to. Like, and I don't know if that's a trade, buyout, so like, whatever it is, but I don't think you can have the 31st best save percentage. I think I don't know how it ended, if not the 32nd, bottom 3 in expected goals against. Like, you can't have that and then just roll back with the same guys without at least exploring what opportunities and options might be there. Like, is there a buyout? Does that make sense? Is there a demotion to Edmonton decided on Jack Campbell. We can't do this. And they sent him down. It was a nuclear option, but they did it. You have to explore every option. So I still oddly believe in Anton Forsberg. Like I've always thought he was a really good
big
goalie.
Forsy guy.
I've always liked him. I really have. I just Korpisalo, I don't know his body of work as well. He seems to be a little bit up and down, but he can still games or whatever. But Forsberg's a guy that I don't know. I've always kind of believed in the guy. He just had a bad year, but is that from the injuries, recovering, all that stuff, confidence? I don't know, but I think you got to explore that. I really do. You have to study the goaltending options, the market, and see if there's something that makes sense.
And on that note, we'll finish off with a fun one here, because whenever you're on, we always have to have a fun finishing question.
Is this about Herringate?
No, it's not. But
that's going to require its own full episode.
Never
bring you back for that.
Never go full
Herringate.
Yeah, never go full Herringate.
Yeah. So, Ian, what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
Ooh. Favorite sports movie? This one's catching me off guard. I was a big bit like I used to love baseball. I don't love it as much as I used to. So some of my favorite movies automatically are, baseball ones. Field of Dreams was huge for me. League of Their Own, I loved back in the day. Boy, I'm trying to think. Does Jerry Maguire fit as a sports movie or not really? He was a sports agent. I always thought that was a fun movie.
I mean, I was looking at a list beforehand, and it called The Big Lebowski a sport movie because it has the bowling league in it. So I think you're on solid ground with Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like off the top of my head, like I mean, I was like, I think it was what year did I think I was about 15 when the original Mighty Ducks came out. Like the original. I think that must come out in 92. I think it was 15. Like I enjoyed that one. But I feel like I was just on the cusp of being too old for it. Like, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I feel like if I was 12, it was like, I liked it, but I was like, I'm a little too cynical already at 15.
I'm gonna throw out a modern baseball classic. It's Moneyball is probably one of the best sports movies of all time.
Yeah. Moneyball's great. You know what? Thoroughly enjoyed Moneyball.
Yeah.
Never saw the I almost watched it on a plane the other day. The Costner
Draft Day.
Is that good?
It's a wild ride.
So it's great. The funny thing is my dad and I are big Seahawks fans. So in that movie, the Seahawks are like the villains. So I kind of have like this love-hate thing where like I love the story. I'm like, yeah, but then it's like Cleveland. I'm like, and Seahawks are the bad guys, and I'm like, oh, this really stinks. But
man.
But I think the storyline of it is good.
Is good? Yeah, I somehow I've never watched Draft Day. In fact, I never watched Slapshot until I want to say 2019.
Wow.
And the only reason why I watched it was we put on a thing when I was working at 1200, and we had this thing where I think we rented out what's the bank in Sunnyside?
Mayfair.
Mayfair.
Yeah.
We rented out the Mayfair, and we showed 2 movies with our listeners, and one was Slapshot. And I said, okay, the time has come. I'll watch it. I'll be real honest. I didn't love it, but I think the problem is for a lot of people my age, like I said, I'm 47, and I think the movie came out, I must have been like 18 months old or whatever when the movie came out. But a lot of people who are older than me, like they have this childhood nostalgia where they're like, I loved it when I was 8 years old or 10 years old. I think if you watch it for the first time, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could. It's like me, my non-sports movie, my all-time favorite, because I watched it when, again, I was like 8 years old, is the original Back to the Future.
Right.
Like,
Incredible.
that movie can never look bad to me because I got the childhood kind of nostalgia factor, right? But Slapshot, and then I've taken such a beating over the years. People are like, you shouldn't be covering the NHL if you've never seen Slapshot. You don't like Slapshot. I'm like,
It's not a documentary.
Yeah.
What? I've been lied to this whole time.
Also, isn't there just like a lot of needless swearing in Slapshot? It feels like one of those movies where they just sprinkle in a swear word whenever they can.
I think that's just hockey culture.
That's 70s hockey culture. So it never quite landed for me. But like I said, the Mighty Ducks movie was great. Is there any other good hockey movies?
I mean,
Like,
Miracle's pretty
Miracle's
good.
good.
Yeah, and then like Mystery Alaska is also really good.
Letter Kenny Shorzy.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, what's that one? Goon. The first Goon. I heard the second one's not great, but the first Goon.
Oh,
has
the first Goon. Yeah.
has a special place in my heart. I don't know, that movie just, like it. La Flamme.
Well, we know that Matt, you'll when they make the Sheldon Keefe movie, you'll be the
honestly,
you'll be the actor for his time in the Sioux.
Getting a call right now, actually, from Kyle Dubas.
Yeah,
Kyle
Dubas coming in.
Yeah. Well, on that note, thank you, Ian. Do you want to plug maybe any upcoming articles that we get a little sneak preview on?
Oh, now you're putting pressure on me, as if you make it seem like I'm this organized, planned guy that has an editorial calendar. I'm trying to think what I got coming up. Actually, you know what? I do have some cutting room floor stuff with Andlauer that I purposely left out of this one about the arena.
I knew it.
I
knew there was more. I was like, this interview's too short.
So I did talk to him about the arena and some arena locations and that stuff. So I'll try and put that together in the next few days, like probably maybe early next week. I got to do some Hockey Canada stuff, unfortunately, this week. And I think I haven't done anything. The draft lottery went, and then they had the Travis Green stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll probably pick the brain of Corey Pronman, Scott Wheeler, and just be like, hey, if Ottawa picks 7, who are we looking at here? What are some names? So yeah, I'll be doing those types of things.
Potentially one of the people you just mentioned might be on the show next week. So we'll have to have that.
Who? Corey Pronman? Scott Wheeler?
You're gonna make us
Michael Andlauer.
Yeah, we're gonna ask Michael Andlauer about he has to know about the cold water situation at CTC.
Oh my God.
For God's sake.
I did that in the season ticket holder survey, and I did not feel good about writing it, but I had to do it for all of us.
I just want to know.
Okay. I thought they fixed it.
No.
So at times I went to certain washrooms.
For sure.
Washrooms were good.
Yeah.
But then like all of a sudden, I don't know, man, like halfway through the season, it all fell apart.
Yeah. I remember.
Are you talking about the hot water, or are you talking about the team in general? It just fell apart.
Basically both. But
our team hinges on the hot water.
I think it's a thing. Yeah. Hot water breaks the curse.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you everybody for watching or listening. And you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, all the podcast platforms. We're on Instagram, Discord, and Reddit, Twitter, or X, as it's now referred to. Matt and Ben, I hate when I do that. But yeah, thank you so much, Ian, for joining us. We always have a good time talking to you when you're on, and hopefully our listeners and viewers enjoyed that first 8 minutes of mall talk in Ottawa, because that is the content we strive for here on the Senstennial.
All I'm going to say is, if there's an appetite for random mall podcasts of Ottawa, I think that's our niche right there.
We should go to the mall, then do it there.
Do it from the food court, from
the food court. Take in the Manchukuo smell. Reminisce at the New York fries that used to be there. That's now
you can still see the outline of the original architecture of the New York fries.
We do a little prayer to the fast food gods,
and we could debate where was the best food court location at Bayshore.
Oh,
great question.
Wow.
Senstennial Live.
What a time to be alive.
I'm telling you.
And that's not even mentioning Rito pre and post renovation. Like there's so much to go on here.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ian. Have a great night. And as always, go Sens go.
Thanks for having me, guys.